Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together. The Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local feel Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I am Sanjay, and alongside me, like always now, is Matt Jensen, and we are live here in our home studios, brought to you by Game On Wisconsin, and we are here on a Monday, the Mondays of all Mondays, and we are officially done with the preseason, and we are back to football, folks.
hallelujah!
Right? All your fantasy drafts that you're trying to squeeze in before the 9th or 7th, whatever the week 1 game is. Or is that the Thursday, right? So I think that's
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. So you're all trying to get those rosters all made up, and we had one on Saturday, and it was quite the draft, I guess you could say. But we have a really fun treat for you guys next week, because Matt, Fred, and I are in a fantasy league for the first time ever in our friendship. We're going to kind of incorporate that a little bit with our show, because now we have more things to maybe bet on and possibly have some really cool or really crazy bets. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And so Matt, it was officially the end of the preseason on Saturday at 12 o'clock Central for all you people that had nothing to do on a Saturday. In a night Saturday. It just felt weird. I get it. It's in Buffalo. It's in New York. So it's like, yeah, it's whatever. But I, for one, had to, watch only a little bit of the game because I actually was doing things. I was doing like a lot of errands and a little projects. So, Matt, how was your weekend?
Fantastic, man. I mean, well, it had the fantasy drafts in there, but it feels good to have preseason over with. I don't know why, but this preseason felt really long. Even though there was one less game than normal, and we didn't have any preseason last year, it just felt like it was an eternity. So, and now we have another eternity to wait 2 weeks before the Saints game. But nonetheless, now we can actually talk about regular season football and get ourselves hyped up for it. So that I'm excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. It did feel like it was a lot longer. Maybe it just felt like, maybe it just felt so long because we've had a long offseason and we were just wondering if we're going to have a quarterback back. And then now we were kind of wondering, are we going to have Bakhtiari back? Are we going to have Devin Funchess back, which we end up not having him back? So a lot of tears of sadness for Matt Jensen on this, on his his fan club of Devin Funchess. But maybe he'll find a different player to, the one he buys a jersey of, folks, because he's still looking to buy
a free agent, man, trying to find one.
Jamie, thank you so much. It's good to see Jamie back. She used to be such a hardcore show follower, and then she went to the Jimmy and those guys, and now we lost her, but now we got her back. So hey, great to have you back on the show.
Doing something right.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody that's watching us tonight. It means the world to us, obviously, and we'll try to get you guys out of here just a little bit early today because we don't have any Fred. Fred is obviously being a great dad for his kid and watching some football, and he will be back next week. So don't worry, you're going to get to see the mustache. See, I'm telling you, I can do it. I don't have it today, but I will do it. I'm going to leave this going, and I'm going to have the Fred. Yeah, see.
What are you pointing to? I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, all right.
It's a little scruff, all right?
Okay, all right.
All right, but anyway, let's get to football. So we had the Buffalo Bills, and we had Jordan Love. And And we're going to just do some Jordan Love talk. It's going to be everything that we talk about when it comes to the preseason. I know it gets a little watered down, especially with everything you've heard, but that is obviously the biggest thing that we can talk about as a Packers show. So Jordan Love seemed like everything was kind of going all right, actually, as far as like running the offense and executing plays. And maybe this is not Jordan Love. Maybe this is more a kudos to Matt LaFleur and just giving him everything that he could probably handle at this point, at this juncture, I guess, because he's only played his second game in like 2 years. So really putting less on his plate, but more down the field kind of throws, letting him kind of sling it a little more comparably to the week 1. And let's just not forget that this is against the number ones on defense. So this was a really good look on the road obviously in a hostile area, because obviously those fans are hyped up and jumping off onto tables and stuff. So not that they're doing that in the stadium, but Matt, your thoughts at least initially on Jordan Love, his delivery of the offense. I will get to the interception throw in a minute, but at least early on thoughts.
I'm encouraged, and I am by no means like a PFF nerd or some guy who's like really heavy into stats and trends and looking behind the the curtains at the engine, if you will. I purely base this off the eye test. I mean, I've been watching football my entire life. I've watched Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, a slew of quarterbacks around the league. So you kind of get a gauge of what you want to see. And again, this is not by any means scientific whatsoever. But one of the criteria I have when I'm watching a young QB is how often do they check down? Are they a check down captain? Just, always looking panicked throws to the side to the easy dump off for 2 yards. And I don't see that with Jordan Love. I mean, he'll do it, but he pushes the ball down the field. And that's what's encouraging to me is he'll throw, those longer passes. I mean, you saw a couple, when he first played earlier in the preseason, then of course against the Bills. I mean, you have to like that he's willing to look down the field and go through his progressions, and hit and find the guy that's open and not just immediately turn his eyes down and look, for the easy check down. So I'm encouraged by that. And I think that that's a really good sign for Jordan Love, that he's comfortable with what he's doing. And he's also a good sign that Matt LaFleur is getting him in a position where, he has some plays that he's able to get that ball down the field. He doesn't look panicked. When he's throwing in rhythm, he does hit his backdrop and is able to deliver the ball pretty quick. And on target. Of course, you're going to go through some growing pains. I mean, like you said, Sanjay, this is really his second, game as a professional, albeit in the preseason. And this one against a really good Buffalo Bills defense that honestly dressed a good chunk of their starters. So, you really won't find a better test in the preseason than going against one of the better defenses in the NFL. And he was able to complete some nice passes, and we'll talk about the interception. But when you look at things and you go back to the beginning of summer and even the offseason, we were kind of thinking about the prospects of, was Jordan Love going to have to play this season, or you have to wait another year? I have to think, if most people are being honest, they have to feel better about stuff when it comes to Jordan Love now than we all did back in spring and early summer, because I think he's come out and shown that he can play in this league. And he's doing this all, by the way, with all the backups in the offense. He's not doing it with, the full complement of the offensive line and the receivers. So, when the day comes that Aaron Rodgers either retires or the Packers move on for him, I feel a lot better about what's going to happen with Jordan Love now than I did before.
Oh, yeah. A lot of great points there, Matt. And I think there's one thing I wanted to add too, as far as like him not just checking down completely and also just not tucking the ball and running.
Yeah.
I think he knows that he's an athlete of the game. He knows that he has legs. He's got obviously younger legs than Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is obviously a scrambling quarterback. And he wanted to stay in the pocket. And I think that's really awesome to see that he can learn and mature under Aaron Rodgers this year, if it's the last year that he gets to see it. But he obviously last year, and just seeing that, look, yes, Aaron's a scrambler, but he likes to stay in the pocket. Now, does a lot of his magic and historic plays happen outside of it? Of course. But let's just be honest. In Aaron Rodgers' first few years, he was like a lot in the pocket for most of it. And then, yes, he would roll out because he obviously had younger legs at that time. So for him not to just tuck it, run, only look at one read and then run it and then see, I'm going to scramble and then, slide for 5 or 6 yards. I like that side of it too, that he's not doing that. And I think who's ever in his ear, obviously it's Getsy or LaFleur or even Rodgers, whoever it is, letting him know that, look, sling it, young fella. Like, just sling it. There's going to be some growing pains, and let's move into that transition with those growing pains. Oh, go ahead. What?
Well, I was just gonna say, I agree. Like, sling it. Like, go out there. It's the preseason. You don't want to go out there and chuck a bunch of interceptions, but I don't think you're learning much if you're just constantly checking the ball down, which he didn't do. I mean, you can go back to that pass with Malik Taylor along the sidelines against the Bills. I mean, that was a risky throw, but that was a beautiful pass. And in normal situations in regular season games, you're going to have to make passes like that. And he trusts his guy to go get the ball. By the way, Malik Taylor, man, he's made himself a good run at making the roster. But those are the kind of passes that really have me encouraged about Jordan Love. And the interception and some of the things that you can clean up will just come with experience. As LaFleur said in his press conference, those are teachable moments, But clearly Jordan Love has the skills to play in the pro level.
Yeah, and you know what? He's throwing it to 4 and 5 receivers. Like, they're not like Devontae Adams, who has probably a better catch radius than Malik Taylor, which, even though that was a great catch, I like that he's still thinking that he can make those throws, because that was a pretty good throw. Even in week 1, he had a couple throws where, like, okay, it was an incompletion. It could have been a pick, but he trusted the fact that, like, he didn't trust the receiver. He trusted his arm. He trusted his eyes. And he said, look, I know I can put it in that spot. Let's just try it. If he comes down with it, it's a highlight reel. If he doesn't, look, I'm going to have really good receivers. If I'm the long-term plan, I'm going to be cheap. They're going to go get me weapons, and they're going to be all able to catch the ball. So I do like that aspect of it.
And I think people are going to look a lot like, well, the Packers got blanked. They didn't score any points. They had a bunch of, turnover on downs inside the red zone. And I hear that. I understand. You obviously want to see him punch the ball in. But I think for me, what I'm taking away on those drives is the fact that, Jordan Love was able to orchestrate multiple drives to get into scoring position. Yes. Obviously, they're not going to go for on 4th down every single time they're down there. But that's encouraging.
Those exactly field goal points, right? So
most of the games you're probably looking at 3 field goals there, but fine. You're in the game and scoring points. So I think what people need to look at is not the fact that they didn't end with points, but how he got there, and he looked good doing it.
Yeah, and let's just transition real quick to that interception, because that's everybody's. That's what everybody's kind of talking about. It was kind of a bad decision. He thought and that was, again, kind of kudos, even though it's kind of a little bit of a slap on the wrist kind of thing, because he did throw it. But him thinking that, hey, look, he had Malik Taylor in the corner. He saw him, what he thought was open, so he tried it. Obviously didn't have the, he did it on his back foot, didn't have the really great arm strength to do it on that throw, even though he does have arm strength. Obviously, this whole play from the beginning was basically a dead play, because he like tripped over. I think it was a tight end, right? It wasn't the
I think it was a tight end cross. Yeah, coming over for a block.
Yeah,
or something.
So you're already tripping. You're trying to catch your balance, and then you already have a rusher coming at your face, and then you're trying to make a heroic play. I get it, young rook. Let him throw it, and then. Yes, it does come down to who else other than Micah Hyde. What a beautiful, like, little cherry on the top for a little revenge game. But I did see the interception. Initially when I first saw it, I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then as you're watching it slower and slower and slower, you're like, yeah, you saw the trip, and then yes, you would hope that he'd maybe just take the sack or just try to throw it out of bounds, because you're already outside the tackle restriction area. So I don't know. I don't hate I hate the interception at the same time too, because like you said, we're learning. And he's learning that, look, there's some throws that you can make, and there's some throws that, hey, look, we've seen Rodgers do it so many times where he'd rather throw it out of bounds instead of taking the pick. And sometimes we're like, man, I wish he had that gunslinger mentality like a Brett Favre. But then you're like, man, I don't like Brett Favre, who leads the NFL history with interceptions.
Well, it's funny because we've literally gone from polar opposites of both Hall of Fame, But Brett Favre, who was an interception machine, I think is he still the number one? Still leads that category. He's either one or two at this point.
Yeah.
And then you go to Aaron Rodgers, who's the least turnover prone QB to ever play the game. Totally opposites
between him and Jameis. Like 89 interceptions for Rodgers, 88 interceptions for a career for both of them. Like, and it's just like hilarious. But
so Jordan Love, it's like for that pass there, the egregious part of it was first down. It's like that one. It's like live to see another day. If that was third and long and it's getting late in the game and you're trying to score points, I can understand trying to chuck it up and let the guy make a play. But as LaFleur said, and I mentioned before, that's one of those teachable moments. Like you're outside the tackle box. Yeah, you got a guy you think he's open. You believe you can make that pass, but you know what? Percentages tell you that you're not. So whip that thing in the fifth row and let's go to second down.
Right. Yeah. Hey, look, Aaron's back. We don't see Aaron anymore either. Look at it's funny how
Aaron's in here now and then.
I know, but like it's once we get back to the season, everybody comes back to the show they love right here. Thank you so much, Aaron. Yeah, we'll see. The shaving head one, I don't mind as much because it grows back, but like shaving like my eyebrow or like my doing
don't give us any ideas.
Waxing of my arm, like all these different things, they are a little bit more like scarier and riskier, but hey, look, anything is possible on this show, folks. Anything is possible.
And you're a teacher, you can't creep the kids out.
My wife is probably like shaking her head like you're an idiot. So
please don't.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, yes, there's that possibility. But yes, Jordan Love, I think we're going to see what really matters, and that's going to be what happens at the end of the season with Aaron Rodgers, because honestly, I'd like to see one more run of preseason with Jordan Love.
I think the ideal situation is that Rodgers plays this year and next year, retires, and Love takes over in his fourth year. That's, to me, the perfect scenario. Whether it happens or not, I have no idea. Did he show enough to make the front office and the coaching staff go, okay, I think we could do this next year? Or do you think they're like, you know what, one more year to marinate in that offense and fine-tune things should do it?
It's so tough with the money situation and what we have going on, with all of our other, players and like everybody else that wants money too, like Za'Darius and Devontae, and Ja, and like, it's a tough situation, but you also see, I know you think there's a lot of promise with Jordan Love, but I also want to see 2 preseasons and like less stress. I mean, if it happens, he's got to be ready for it, and he is. He knows he was almost ready this year to be like, look, if I'm the guy, I'm the guy. But I would like to see one more year of just like sitting and watching and soaking up as much knowledge as possible. But it's not in it's not in our hands, or it's not in his hands. So,
but what gives me faith though, that if they do decide to turn the keys over to Love next year and Rodgers leaves, or they trade him or retires or whatever the reason is, and Jordan Love's under center, is I think Matt LaFleur's offense, man, really, I don't want to say takes the pressure off, but it's like when you were in the McCarthy offense, you just basically had to hope your receivers were going to win one-on-one matchups, and you had to fit a ball in somewhere. And I feel like with LaFleur, he can help out the young QBs where he can scheme guys open. He can get that kind of illusion of complexity. I know that's kind of one of the things that coaches dropped a few times, but it helps a young player who's developing and kind of helps him get through those growing pains, because you don't have to be a hero. You can just sort of stay within that scheme and hit your on target, on time passes. So that's encouraging.
Well, no, you know what? This is exactly what you are hoping for from this young coach. You had a Hall of Famer. You walked into a Hall of Fame situation. Now, let's see where the money really is if you can develop a young quarterback, because that's the whole reason you have these coaches, right? These offensive-minded coaches. Can they really school a young kid? Can they really groom him like John Gruden used to do back in the day, or, or ex-coach, or, like all these other coaches that are quarterback gurus? What kind of system do you have in place around him with a Nathaniel Hackett, with a Luke Getsy, with a Aaron Rodgers, or even like other veteran quarterbacks to really, because like if Rodgers is gone, I would assume you're still going to probably bring a vet in next year, right? To kind of give him that like, hey, look, the keys are yours, but in case things are a little bit too much and you're feeling overwhelmed, we got this vet that can let you know that, look, it's okay. Like, because I think that's always nice. I think all these young quarterbacks that start ahead, like you always kind of see that vet, as the backup, like almost like a Josh McCown. It's basically the other QB coach,
which is someone who's experienced.
Yes, exactly. So, I think that we have a lot of, you're right, promise for the years to come. But I think we do have, that little bit of uncertainty that kind of scares us a little bit, but we'll see what happens. And you know what? I would like to say this is a mustache. If I shave the rest of this, it would look like a dirty stash. Okay. It would really look like it. It maybe not as thick as like Matt, but I mean, if I really came up here, it's right there. It's right there. I don't understand why I don't get to consider this a mustache. It still grows really quick. I just don't go like, I don't go like whatever that guy's name is from Blues, that show, like the guy Selleck, Tom Selleck, right?
Selleck.
I don't have that,
No.
that my dad had that. So, but anyway, guys, when we come back, we will talk about our 53-man roster, because that's obviously what happens at the last part of the preseason, is that we obviously have to see some of these guys go. We have to slim down that huge roster down to the 53 and get ourselves ready for the season. So don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Freezer Podcast.
Thank you, Sanjay. That was an excellent point you just made, or a terrible one, because we don't know yet. Just like we don't know if the Packers are going to beat the Buffalo Bills or not this Saturday. But tune in Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Lombardi's Bar, and we're going to talk all about it.
Jake Kumaro, 2 touchdowns. Wow, that is a great prediction, Jimmy. Also, it'll be interesting to talk about the final roster cuts. So, Fred, Sanjay, Matt, back to you guys.
Thanks, Todd.
Guys. Yeah, right. Thank you, Todd. Go check them out, guys. They're so awesome. Lombardi's Bar. The 3 of them are just awesome, and you can catch them on Wednesday. So thank you so much. So the 53.
Oh, I thought we'd be able to actually break down the 53, but here the Packers are kind of camping out a little bit on their cuts.
Yeah, I was kind of just treating them like they waited for us to like give our predictions, and then they're like, all right, then
make
we'll
fools of us then. Yeah,
make fools exactly on tomorrow morning when all these cuts are happening. So, I think obviously, even though there are obvious ones, we'll still go over it for you guys. If you have some suggestions that you want to throw in, or if you think our opinion is absolutely terrible, then that's fine too. I'm sure we'll see Todd say it. That was absolutely stupid. So anyway, the 53, Matt, let's start it off right away at the offensive side. We know number 12 is the quarterback of our lovely team. And then we also know number 10 is on the team as well. So the big question is, do you keep 3 quarterbacks and keep Kurt Benkert, or do you take the risk that, look, nobody knows who this guy is? He cut his little long dazzling hair, and now he's got a crew cut, and he's going to be stashed in the practice squad. What do you do, sir?
I really toyed with this. I think there's multiple answers to this question here. I think there's merit both ways. When you look at keeping Benkert, like obviously, Rodgers is the question mark, and you're going to want to have somebody with some experience and some upside, behind Jordan Love. I think Kirk Benkert proved that this preseason. He had some nice passes. He was able to run the offense. He looked comfortable, albeit behind, the 3rd and 4th string guys. So I think he definitely made a case to stick around. I did not have him on my 53. And the reason I didn't was because I feel like this team is so damn close, obviously, to being in the Super Bowl, and keeping an extra lineman, receiver, DB, someone in a position that you're really going to need to rotate guys in is more valuable than a third quarterback. If Kirk Benkert makes the roster and sees time in the regular season, the season's over anyways. If you're having your 3rd QB playing time, it doesn't matter. So yeah. I would rather try to sneak him on the practice squad and keep an extra somebody else. But I really had a hard time with that. It was probably the toughest one. But I think that they're going to go with just the 2 and then roll the dice.
I think we're both on the agreement there, are on the same page. 2 is what I have as well. I think I'm just going to stick with that. Maybe let's just hope for the best and get him on the practice squad, and see if we can keep teaching the young fella how to play the position, which he did a great job in the extended time that he had. So
he deserves to be here.
Let's move real quick down to the running backs, and Whew, it's pretty obvious on this one too, and I think it's really obvious given the fact of who was really stealing the show in that room all preseason as well. So obviously Aaron Jones, obviously AJ Dillon, and I think you and I can both agree that probably Kylan Hill will be the third running back on this little trifecta, and maybe we do have a Earth, Wind, and Fire of the 2021 season. I don't like that the Giants are the ones that coined that phrase early, and maybe there was someone else earlier in football history that did it. I don't know it. So if any of you guys know who actually coined that first, fine. But the last one I heard was the Giants with Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, and I forget the other guy's name. Can you tell me who it was?
I have no idea.
If you know who the third guy was I can see his number. I think it's like
Bradshaw, Jacobs, and
I feel like it's like his number was like number 20, I think. And anyway, someone in the chat might know. Who knows? But yes, I think are you in agreement with that one, at least on the running backs?
Yeah, I have 3: Jones, Dillon, Hill. I mean, Kylan Hill, man. I really hope they carve out some reps or some snaps for him during the games, because that guy is electric, and I feel like him and with the regular offense could really be a playmaker on top of already having Aaron Jones, who is a bona fide star, and AJ Dillon, who we're expecting to kind of be that sledgehammer. So those 3, yeah, definitely are locks.
Okay, Mark. I need a first name. What is his first name? Morris. What is his first name?
I don't even know, man.
I know.
Sounds
Matt
Morris.
will never know. Matt will never know.
Because one time I forgot. Yeah, okay. I
Who's the Panthers quarterback right now?
I remember that guy's name.
Who's the Panthers quarterback right now?
Sam Darnold, baby.
All right. Thought you might say.
Who was the QB? I forgot though. What was his name?
I don't remember.
See, okay, he's a very forgettable man.
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Derek Ward. Thank you, Todd. I knew it was Derek Ward. It wasn't Morris. It was Derek Ward. There we go. Todd with the
Are we sure? Answer. Are you even sure? You're very confident that's the right answer.
I do recognize the Ward. The Morris, I was like, is there a Morris? And then
Todd wouldn't lead you astray, would he?
No.
Kyle Allen. There you go.
Roscoe. There it is, Nick. I knew someone could help us there. Kyle Allen. Do you remember?
Who cares
Kyle
about
Allen?
Kyle? Yeah, but I don't need to remember him.
All right, so let's move on to the tight ends real quick. I'll start first. I've got Josiah because he's just that little Swiss Army knife. And then we've got Bob Tunyon. Right?
Yeah.
We've got Mercedes because we just can't can't cut one of Rodgers' guys. And I'm going to shock the world here. Dominic Daphne.
You have the same.
Jace. No,
the same 4 I have. The same 4 I have.
But I think the reason why we can say no Jace is because he's probably going to be because he's
exempt from
yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens when he's not suspended and see if he's actually. I guess it's not really that breaking of news or big of a take.
I want in my mind. I want Jay Sternberger to work out. I don't know. I just don't know what you can sort of hold on to at this point. Like, what has he done well? What has he shown? Yeah, he's had a play or two where he hits the seam and makes a snag. But I mean, I saw some play where he got absolutely rolled over trying to run block. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think the mistakes and the miscues and the womps are starting to add up for him, where it's kind of like, how do you justify keeping him on the roster when you got guys like, even Kafusi, who Rodgers loves? I don't know. I don't know that Sternberger deserves a spot other than the fact that he's, a high draft pick, as Iowa Joe points out. I don't know if you can stick him on. Is he practice squad eligible? I mean, maybe you fit him in there. I don't know either how that works, but I don't know. I just don't think he makes to 53. I think they're better off keeping somebody else.
But here's my question though, because let's just not completely crap on Jace. Friend of Game On Wisconsin, let's just be honest. We can't completely, just cut this guy out of our life.
I'm not saying. I mean,
you literally just cut him out of our life.
But I prefaced it by saying
we happen to be a show on the Game On Network. So
I'm just saying. I said my preference was for him to make it, but I don't think he's going to.
Okay. Well, here my question to you is, Tunyon, if you pay him or don't pay him, that kind of makes your situation easier or harder, right? Because if you don't pay him, you don't have a tight end because he's probably going to go make some money somewhere else. Someone will sign him. If you do pay him, that kind of makes it easy because, like, what do you need 2 tight ends for of that kind of skill set? Someone that can stretch the field, someone that can actually go and, like, give you more production on the receiving game. Because it's not like Jace is known for being like Mercedes Lewis. Like, he's not. So
No.
that's
and
my
plus,
question.
you got to look forward to next year because I don't think Mercedes Lewis will be back again. I mean, I'll never say never, but I think you're going to have another hole there. And then, like you said, what do you do with Big Bob? I mean, if Fred was here, he'd obviously tell you to roll back the Brinks truck and pay him. But there is a debate to be made about, obviously he's catching balls. I'm not trying to slight him in the least, but there's a debate about whether that's the system generating his success or not. All I know is he catches the damn ball and gets in the end zone, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Let's move on real quick. We'll go to the offensive line because wide receiver. I can't forget that. We already know our 5, right?
Yep.
Tay, Cobb,
MVS,
Lazard, and Amari Rodgers, right?
Yep.
So there's your 5. And I think now that we don't have a Funches, I think it's pretty clear and cut that I'm going to keep Malik Taylor as a 6th. I know there's people that maybe would just be like, let's just roll with 5, but I'm going to go with 6 with Malik. You're good on 6?
Absolutely. I think Malik Taylor showed that he definitely should be on the active roster. I'm bummed out about Funches because I really thought, man, and he looked like it was about to be a party this year with him. Just such a crappy thing. But yeah, I'm a big believer in Taylor. I think he should be on the team. So
I'm going to be honest with you. I think they were still pretty upset about his comments that he made in that press conference.
You think?
If he fully stays, off the field for the majority of the season because of this injury, I'll believe it.
Wasn't even that bad though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why you would just throw him. If you knew he was good enough to make the roster as your 6th receiver, you would have put him on the roster and then put him on IR that you could bring him back in a few weeks. So why would you put him on IR for a lesser injury for the whole year if you didn't want him? Because he was probably going to try to do an injury settlement because he wants to play. And then you were gonna lose him anyway because you just go try free agency. So I really think this was just like their way out and just saying, if he stays, he stays. If he leaves, it's no backhand on us, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation because it didn't feel like he was that injured. It wasn't really talked about that much.
He was like,
oh man,
exactly. So that's why that's the conspiracy theory in me. But anyway,
exactly.
We got our 6. All right, offensive line. We got to keep moving here. So offensive line, we got David Bakhtiari, we got Elton, we got Josh Myers, which is a really interesting topic that we can maybe have next week with Freddie. All right, so we'll talk about Fred. We'll talk about Fred. We'll talk about Josh Myers. We've got Billy Turner. Dennis Keller's an interesting situation for me because he's injured. And, like, obviously you're not going to cut him. Probably not because you traded for him. But, like, the guy hasn't, like, played. And you're, like, hoping that he'll be ready for week 1. He's a vet. He's played a lot of games. I just hope that he's, like, a healthy guy. Because, like, I don't want this guy injured all the time. So, anyway, and I think we could probably say we have John Runyon Jr. as a lock too. So now I want you to give me anybody else. Who's your? So else?
I have them keeping 10. All right, and I don't have them in an order here.
I had 10 too. I had 10.
Okay, so you got Bakhtiari, Turner, Jenkins, Myers, Newman, Patrick, Runyon.
I forgot about Royce Newman. Yes, sorry.
Yosh, Braden, and then I do have them keeping Kelly, and then they get Van Lanen onto the practice squad.
Yeah, I was wondering about that little, happy story Green Bay kid, keeping him on the practice squad kind of thing. Like,
so let's go to Joe's question.
No, if you're keeping him, that's not practice squad then. You're putting him on your active roster.
Van Lanen?
Yeah, Van Lanen. You just said
I'm saying you cut him and then put him on the practice squad because I know he's a draft pick.
So you're not keeping him on your 10. I was keeping him on my 10.
No, Kelly is my number 10. He's the last guy I kept, and I think they keep him because he's got experience. What do you mean?
Oh, I see what you did there. So you didn't have Ben Braden.
I do have Braden. I have Bach,
That-
Turner, Jenkins, Myers, Newman, Patrick, Runyon, Nijman, Braden, Kelly. 10. Nijman. I'm not going to pronounce that wrong all year long. Forgive me.
But 10 is with Cole Van Lanen.
I didn't say Van Lanen. Do you want me to do it for the third time?
Yes.
Open
please
your
say it
ears
again.
up.
I'm
Right?
listening. I'm literally. I'm
Bach-
looking at my list. All right.
Look at me. I'm the
Yes.
captain now.
That's
Bakhtiari,
thank
right?
you, Katie. Katie knows what she's saying. 9. You're literally counting 9. Okay.
Hold
go,
on. Am
go.
I okay? Bakhtiari, Turner,
Counted- Yep.
Jenkins, Myers, Newman, Patrick, Runyon.
Oh,
Yash.
Patrick. I didn't hear the
Yeah,
Patrick.
look. Yeah,
I don't
Braden
have
Kelly.
Patrick. I don't have Patrick.
Okay, so I kept him and Dennis Kelly because they're vets and they have experience. And so the Packers like to churn and burn, move guys around. They're going to need guys that have game experience.
Okay, so friend of the show, Peter Bukowski, he had actually kept Lucas Patrick as well, just like you. And his reasoning behind it was, and whatever, we're all content creators here, because the question mark about Josh Myers. There's a lot of questions about him at center at this point, and
he's had some issues.
He's had a little bit of up and down play and some issues on the in
Could we
training
get Corey
camp.
back?
No, that's a ships to sail. We kept Jones.
Yeah.
So because Patrick's played center and he's actually had snaps at center, there's that ability to do that and maybe not have too much of a drop off.
Yeah.
Now you're not getting Lindsley, quality, but you're still getting maybe equivalent or maybe a tad bit better than Josh Myers. I have no idea. I mean, I thought this guy was gonna just bang it out of the park. But yes, I thought maybe that was your reasoning.
Well, I do think that there's some merit to that too, because I guess it goes into my point about needing experience on the offensive line. There's a lot of young guys they're going to have on here. And I know Patrick didn't exactly blow the doors off anybody during this preseason, but his experience could come in handy, in a pinch. Obviously, you don't want him playing, a ton of meaningful snaps at center, but if he had to come in, you could. I think they're going to go through some growing pains with Myers, and having a little bit of insurance, if you want to even call it that, behind him would be worth it to me. I don't know. I just think that the O-line, man, is going to drive the success of this team. And if they got to get those guys playing as one in rhythm. And I know before Joe asked about David Bakhtiari, Sanjay, what do you think? Do you think he's going to start the year on the PUP list? Do they put him on IR to return? Or do you think he comes out week 1 and suits up?
Because he's on the active roster, I think they try to avoid the PUP. But I could be, I mean, in 5 days, he could be on the PUP. I have no idea. But I think they would rather just keep him on the active roster, just not suit him up. But then what's the point? Just put him on the PUP. But then
But then you got to wait, 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah.
I think in my head, I believe that he's going to end up playing week 1. I could be dead wrong, but everything I've seen, I could see him waiting a couple weeks, but I don't think they're going to put him on the PUP list because you got to wait half the season before he can come back. And I think he's close to return. So I think worst case scenario, maybe he's held out games 1, 2, or 3. I think best case he's out there, but I think he's really close to returning to action.
Yep. All right, let's move to defensive line.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So for my defensive line, I have obviously our boy Kenny, 97, Kingsley Keke, TJ Slayton, Dean Lowry, and I have him cutting Lancaster and keeping Heflin. What do they call him? A garbage can full of dirt.
Yeah, dude. What kind of scouts were like? That's just like. I mean, I'm sure there's been way worse said about players that we don't know, but damn, dude. So I actually have us keeping 6. You had us keeping 5.
Yep.
I had us keeping 6. So I actually have them keeping Dean Lowry because I think we've already missed the opportunity to cut him at the big number. So I think he stays, and I think he's a good vet. He's a good rotational guy. I like Tyler Lancaster to kind of he had a really good camp, and I like him to back, I like him and TJ Slayton just kind of a little 1-2 punch. When one guy's tired, put another guy in. I like Kenny just sticking. I mean, I'm sure they're going to move Kenny around a lot, but like I do like Kenny staying at the end position more so than the I mean, I don't know. I guess I could be wrong because he's played so much tackle, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. But the Jack Heflin thing, I think he's just done too much to say, look, you can't, we have to keep him on the active roster because I think he would get snatched up, and we wouldn't be able to put him on the practice squad. So,
yeah, I mean, when you look at that end of the rotation there, like I think, like to me, like I would rather roll the dice on Heflin, who showed out big time in preseason, and then I think you know what you have in Lancaster at this point. I think I'd rather try somebody else.
We'll get to the rest of the 53-man rosters and the cuts that we think that are going to happen come tomorrow. But we still do have a little bit more that we want to talk about. But we have a word from our lovely team, and we'll come back. We'll get that done, and then we'll close out the show. So don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Freezer Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is your boys from Lombardi's Bar, Dan the bartender, Todd, Jimmy. We are here to let you know that we have the first ever Game On Wisconsin party coming to you live at the Green Bay Distillery, September 19th. Put it on your calendars now.
September 19th? Is this my birthday party, guys?
No, absolutely not.
Farthest thing from your birthday party. We're not celebrating Todd's birthday. We are hanging out at the Green Bay Distillery, drinking some alcohol, eating some food, and watching NFL football. Be there.
Yeah, guys, check us out on September 19th. Yes.
Well, yes, check us out September 19th. Also, check out the Game On Wisconsin Twitter account tomorrow because I think there might be an announcement of note. So make sure you're watching out for a particular tweet. I'm sure you'll know it when you see it, but definitely going to be worth it.
I'm really curious to know.
Eyeball emoji.
I mean, we're so low on the totem pole, like we don't know these kind of news. So I'm like really looking forward to knowing too. So I'm like, man, this is not cool. Let me see. Like it's above our pay grade. Exactly. So yeah, we'll check that out. But also, yes, come check us out at the Green Bay Distillery. We'll be there. Fred will be there. Hopefully, and
hopefully,
yeah, right. We have a guest host that's going to be coming next week. His name is Fred. If you haven't heard of him, Fred Thurston.
Yeah, brand new to the channel.
Yeah.
Everybody, make sure you heckle him for his first time on the show.
Yeah. But yes, come check us out. We'll be there. We'll have some beers. We'll talk some football. We'll talk about life. And we'll talk about some Packer football because we're going to be playing the Lions. So yeah, that'll be fun. So let's move on to the linebackers. I've got Barnes.
Yep.
Campbell.
Yep.
He's a beast. Oren Burks.
Okay.
I don't know how you felt about that one. This one kind of made me like think about things here, but Ty Summers.
Yep.
And Isaiah McDuffie.
Yeah, I have the same. I have the exact same. McDuffie looked nice. Yeah.
Speed, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. The Ty Summers one I was like up and down about because I was like, this guy's been around for a while and he's really hasn't like figured it out on coverage. Now tackling
special teams.
And yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of like, man, maybe we need some special team guys that can kind of get down the field quick and be a sure-handled tackler. Oh my God, that's a hard
words are tough, man.
Tackler.
It's a Monday.
There we go. Sure-handed tackler. But the special teams are so garbage that I don't even know if he will make any difference. So.
I think that's why he makes the team. If no other reason, just the special. You can't dismantle that unit anymore. I mean, they need somebody who's had,
if Brian Gutekunst is known as this dumpster diver for once all the cuts are happening, just go get special teams guys. Honestly, I would even just leave 6 open spots on the roster and just leave them all for special teams because it's so bad. That I mean,
do you do that at Madden? Do you sign special teamers at the end of your? Okay,
I don't. I let the auto. I do the autofill.
He turns the salary cap off, and
No. I keep
all trades go through.
yeah. Here we go. Wow. Okay. All right. The edge rushers. This was a little bit thin for me because we really don't have much. But I got ZP and Bane, and then it's really just Jonathan Garvin. What about you?
Yeah, I had the same. I'm still sad about Randy Ramsey, man. I thought that he could have been a nice little piece after the big
I
three
feel like
kind
he
of
can
coming
never
through.
catch a break, dude.
I know. I feel feel really terrible for him. But I have the same group of guys there. It seems like it's really shallow though. Obviously, it's top heavy. You have 3 bona fide pass rushers, which is maybe more than most teams can say. But in terms of depth, not much behind them. So looking for big productivity from those guys this year. And I'm very anxious to see Za'Darius get out there. I don't know what his prognosis looked like. I mean, I think he's going to be there week 1, but I don't know.
We'll
the
see,
Packers
man.
are so coy.
Money
Is it the
talks
money?
on
Is
metal.
it
I don't
the
know,
back?
man.
I don't know.
We'll see. Cornerback. So I got a lot here. I got your boy Ja.
Yep.
We got Kevin King, 100 mil.
Yeah, 100 mil.
Shannon Sullivan, obviously Eric Stokes, first rounder. And then these last 2, I mean, Shamar Jean-Charles, another draft pick, so you kind of have to. But then the other one that I had was Kabion Ento. Now, I didn't like his tackling this last game. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but he's made some really good plays. He's made some nice plays, especially in coverage. So I like his potential, and I do think another potential special teams guy. The funny thing is, I didn't keep Josh Jackson part 2, Isaac Yadam. So
Yeah.
I feel like that trade was really just to get Josh Jackson out, I guess. I mean, he showed some actual nice little if I had to pick between
A 7th.
Ento and Yadam, I probably would have that would be my flipper flop with those 2. But what about you?
I pretty much have the same list there. The only guy I was wondering about was maybe Ennis Gaines, but I mean, I don't know if he was able to do enough in such a short amount of time. Same thing for Isaac Yadam. Again, kind of maybe just a victim of the circumstance.
Really bad night, or not bad.
Yeah,
night, but he had some missed tackles that you're like, really? He let Jake Fromm literally just shoulder rub him and then gets into the end zone on a 15-yard scamper. So
I could see cornerback being one of those positions. Maybe they take a flyer on if there's a name that gets cut or something, just to kind of bolster it.
That's kind of what I thought too. Enzo would be an easy cut, and then you could bring unknown vet in,
because Ento didn't like you pointed out, didn't necessarily go and grab the bull by the horns and make a bunch of plays that kind of made you feel good. But I think just based on the fact that he's been around, he makes the team as the last one in. But he's expendable. I mean, maybe they go find and they cut him and bring somebody else in. I don't know, but I think initially he makes the 53.
I also like the speed aspect of it too for Ento, because you have Malik Taylor, and for special teams, you need some gunners, man. You need guys that can get down there on a beat. So hopefully he can be a special teams monster. We'll see. I'll let you go ahead and round us off with the safeties and special teams. Go ahead.
So, special teams, you got J.K. Scott, Mason Crosby, and whoever the hell the long snapper is. I don't even know who he is.
Hunter Bradley.
Yeah, there you go. So for safeties though, obviously got.
I'm curious to know what your other 2, your backups are.
So Amos, Savage, and Black, and then my other 2 that end up keeping were going to be Vernon Scott. I can't read my own running here, and Uphoff. Those are the last 2 that I ended up keeping. I could see him not keeping Uphoff and keeping a 7th DB, maybe like Isaac Yadam or the other guy we're talking about. But I think that they keep that safety because they love to move those guys up, move them around.
Okay, so that was kind of my thing. I like Jack Eflin. I like Josiah Dominic Daphne, and then I really like Kabion Ento. But then it was all 3 of those were bundled with the Christian Uphoff. Now Dominic Daphne reminds me another thing, another version of Josiah DeGuara. So that's kind of if Josiah can't really come back fully 100%, back to his whatever form he was at before he got hurt, I think Daphne could fill in really nicely in that role.
I agree. But even last year, they sort of started doing it and he looked good. Yeah,
Christian was a one that I was hoping that would make it on the practice squad. Just I did like a lot of it, and what, maybe he could surprise me on the special teams possibly. Yeah. So I like where you went with that. I did also have Scott and Black as well. Just guys that have been there and they've they know the system, or not know the system, but they know at least how the defense kind of flows. I mean, they've all played together now at least for 2 years, so I like it. So yeah, that I mean, look at that. Matt.
Ta-da!
We got 53 in. I don't know if we would have made that like happen, like, you know, with 3 of us, because we have so much to say about all, you know, all these guys. So
Thanks, Fred,
that
for
was a-
allowing this.
yeah, not saying that we don't want your opinion, but I'm just saying, like, you know, this is a long process, and I think we all like
It
to say
is.
something. So, like, you know, I don't know if we got this. This was a speed run. You know, I kept saying let's keep moving on. So kudos to us, Matt. Guys, that's all we got. We obviously will have next week will be such a big show because it's the
Big time.
the show before the week
Season
one
preview, baby.
the season preview. This is what you guys come for every week with us. It is the season show. And we are here Mondays, you know, after
Back
a
to
Sunday
predictions?
game.
Woo!
Exactly. Back to predictions, back to bets, back to
Oh,
some funny
Spicy Sanjay?
I don't know. Maybe we could get some spicy Matt in there somehow. Like,
Sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Kara would be just fine with you doing some stupid things as well.
She wants it to even out on the show.
Yeah,
Hey, you do your part.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yes, guys, thank you so much. You know, Matt and I cannot thank you enough. Check out our Teespring as well. I don't have the link on me at this moment, but we do just in the search bar, just search Freezer Podcast or the Sweep Studios, and you'll find a lot of our merch there. You'll also find both of us on Twitter at Sanjay X Murthy, at Matt X Jensen. You can not hang out, but you can you can talk to us on there and talk Packer football or talk whatever we have, because we do have other interests other than just football. And we will obviously be back with Fred, which will be great because, you know, we love to see him as well on the show.
The
And
tripod will be back.
Exactly. So we are nothing without all 3 of us. So Matt, you got anything else?
No, I'm excited for next week's show. I'm excited to get into the regular season. The you know, preseason's behind us, so now the fun really starts. So let's get it going.
With that being said, I'm Sanjay. That's Matt. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.